Okay, so we're diving into this Oracle free dollar protocol today.
Right.
And it seems like everyone and their grandma is calling it the next Apple or Google.
Yeah.
We've got research coming out, our years analyses, tons of it, even some like straight up storytelling advice, like all pointing to OFD.
Interesting.
Because it's like massive thing.
Yeah, so it's definitely a bold claim
Or
to
it is.
compare anything to Apple or Google at this point.
Right.
But I think what's so interesting is how these sources are actually like framing OFD.
Okay.
It's not just about the tech itself.
Yeah.
It's about the narrative they're building.
Okay.
They're making this really direct connection between how Steve Jobs presented the iPhone back in the day and how OFD is being positioned right now in the DeFi space.
Okay. I am always down for a good origin story.
Right.
And the iPhone launch that was legendary.
It was huge.
Well,
How do you even begin to relate that to something as like complex as decentralized finance?
Well, think about it this way.
Think back to how Jobs captivated everyone.
Yeah.
He didn't just like stand there and list off features and specs. He wove a story.
Yeah.
He painted this picture of a world that was weighed down by like clunky, outdated technology, and then bam, he presents the iPhone as this elegant solution, the hero of the story.
Right.
He understood that people connect with stories
Of course.
on a fundamental level. And it seems like the folks behind OFD, they get that. They're taking a page from that same playbook.
So you're saying to understand like OFD's potential, we need to decode the narrative almost.
Absolutely. One source even called OFD the future of money.
Wow.
That's a powerful statement.
It is.
But whether or not it actually like holds weight depends entirely on how well they convey that message to users.
But isn't that what every DeFi project is trying to do?
Right.
Say they're the future of finance?
Sure, a lot of them, they make the promises. But what I'm seeing with OFD and its proponents is this emphasis on like real-world applications, especially when it comes to their stablecoin.
Right.
It's all backed by tangible assets.
Okay, so they're grounding this big narrative in something tangible. Okay, that makes sense. One thing I am seeing, though, is this word like gamified being thrown around a lot, and it's not really clear what that means practically.
Yeah, it's a buzzword for sure.
Totally.
That needs some unpacking. I think for some DeFi projects, gamification might mean like integrating things like leaderboards or rewards into how you actually use it.
Right.
You know, trying to make finance more engaging.
Right.
But the specifics of how OFD will actually pull this off, we'll have to wait and see.
So it sounds like they're really trying to like appeal to the emotional side of investing.
Definitely.
Which, let's be real, is huge in the crypto world.
Huge driver.
Right. But before we go too far down this whole storytelling rabbit hole, let's back up for a second.
Sure.
For anyone listening who maybe doesn't live and breathe this stuff, what exactly is the Oracle free dollar protocol? What problem are they even trying to solve? So we've got OFD gunning for that future money title, really leaning into the whole storytelling aspect. But let's bring it back down to earth for a minute.
Okay.
How does the thing actually work?
Right at its core, OFD is a decentralized finance protocol.
Okay.
And it lives on the Binance Smart Chain.
Okay.
It's mainly designed to create these stable coins that are pegged to real-world assets. Their flagship product being a decentralized U.S. dollar.
Makes sense. Oracle free dollar.
Exactly.
Those stable coins on the Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah.
That's
familiar territory.
Familiar territory, yeah.
Right.
We've seen a bunch of those already.
Yeah.
So what makes OFD different? What are they doing that's new?
It really boils down to two things. How they approach collateralization and this unique mechanism they're calling collateralized minting.
Okay, I've seen that term thrown around, but
it sounds complicated.
It sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah, it's actually simpler than it sounds.
Okay.
Basically, to create new OFD stablecoins, you have to lock up collateral.
Okay.
Think of it like putting down a deposit.
Right.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
OFD claims they can accept a way wider range of assets as collateral.
Okay, so instead of just using like Ethereum or Bitcoin as collateral, they're saying you could use like real estate or something.
Well, maybe not a Picasso just yet.
Okay.
But you're on the right track.
Okay.
They're aiming for this like really flexible and inclusive system for what you can use as collateral.
And this is where the whole Frankencoin thing comes in, right?
Exactly.
They're a fork of Frankencoin.
They are.
Which is a Swiss franc pegged stablecoin.
That's the one.
And we were talking earlier about how they've already got a decent amount of money locked in their system.
Yeah, Frankencoin's already proving that this multi-collateral approach can work.
Okay.
They've managed to peg their stablecoin to the Swiss franc by accepting all these different crypto assets as collateral.
Right.
And OFD is basically taking that same blueprint and saying, hey, why not the US dollar?
Which is a way bigger market, obviously.
Massively bigger.
Right. So it makes sense from that perspective. But I'm still a little fuzzy on how this all actually plays out. Like, let's say I've got some Bitcoin just sitting around and I want to mint some of these OFD stablecoins.
Okay.
What do I do? What's the process?
Okay, so you've got your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You'd lock that up as collateral in the OFD protocol. And then the system basically allows you to generate or mint a certain amount of OFD stablecoins that corresponds to the value of your Bitcoin.
Okay.
And those stablecoins are pegged to the US dollar.
Right.
Now, the ratio of collateral to stablecoins, that's determined by the protocol's rules.
Make sure everything stays balanced.
Exactly. They don't want the whole thing to go haywire.
So let's say the price of Bitcoin crashes, which
it does.
It does.
Right.
What happens to my OFD? What happens to my stablecoins?
That's where the collateralization comes in to save the day.
Okay.
So if your Bitcoin takes a nosedive and its value drops below a certain point, the protocol is designed to automatically trigger this liquidation process.
Right, keep things from completely falling apart.
Exactly. It's all about protecting the system as a whole.
So they would sell off some of my Bitcoin, basically.
A portion of it would be sold to make sure the stablecoin stays stable.
Interesting. So there's like a built-in safety net.
Yeah, you could call it that.
For all the volatility.
Because we know how wild things can get.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the crypto world.
So how does this all tie back to the flywheel effect you were talking about?
Ah, good question. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, OFD's design sets up this really fascinating dynamic between the collateralization, their governance token, which is OFDPS, and those multiple flywheels we were discussing.
Okay, break it down for me.
So flywheel number one, it all revolves around the connection between the collateral being locked up and the value of their governance token, OFDPS.
Okay.
The more collateral people put into the system, the higher the demand for OFDPS is going to be.
Because OFDPS gives you voting rights and a say in how the protocol is run, right?
Exactly. It's like owning shares of a company.
The more you have, the more influence you have.
Precisely. Now, as more people want OFDPS, the price is naturally going to go up.
Okay, supply and demand, classic.
Exactly, and that incentivizes even more people to buy the token.
Either directly or by locking up more collateral to get their hands on it.
Exactly. They see that price going up and they don't want to miss out.
FOMO!
Exactly, which drives the demand up even further.
And that's the first flywheel.
First flywheel in motion.
Okay, I like it. But you said multiple flywheels.
Oh, yeah. Things are just getting started.
What about the second one?
The second flywheel is all about human psychology.
Okay.
The psychology of investing.
Which can be irrational.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the crypto space.
Right.
It's the fear of missing out, FOMO. The oldest trick in the book.
Right. It's like this self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
The more people believe it, the more likely it is to actually happen.
Especially in the crypto world where everything moves so fast.
Right. Things can snowball really quickly.
Exactly. And as more people jump in, driven by that FOMO, they're pouring more collateral into the system, which just spins those flywheels even faster.
There's a lot of moving parts.
It is a complex system.
And we're talking about potentially a lot of money here.
Right. And with big potential upsides, there are always risks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those for a second.
Okay.
What are the potential downsides of this whole thing?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges for OFD is going to be attracting a diverse enough pool of collateral.
Right, because if everybody just uses Bitcoin.
Yeah, if it's just a handful of major cryptocurrencies propping the whole thing up.
Right, it becomes vulnerable.
Exactly. If the value of that primary collateral tanks.
The whole house of cards could come down.
Well, maybe not the whole house, but it could definitely shake things up.
Definitely. Okay, so OFD is banking on this idea that they'll get people to diversify their collateral.
Right, that's the hope.
Which is interesting because we're comparing them to Frankencoin, which is pegged to the Swiss franc.
Right, a much smaller pond.
Right, and the US dollar.
It's a whole different beast.
Right, it has its own set of problems and volatilities.
Oh, absolutely. Even the big players aren't immune to global economics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is that something that OFD has really considered?
Well, that's part of what makes this whole thing so fascinating.
Okay.
It's an experiment.
Totally.
They're essentially betting that this multi-collateral approach is going to be enough of a buffer.
To weather the storm?
Exactly. Time will tell if it actually works.
So it all comes back to that storytelling thing.
Right. The narrative.
Do you really think that has the power to make or break something this complex?
I think in DeFi especially, where things are moving so fast, narrative is crucial.
Because there aren't the same regulations and stuff.
Exactly. It's all about building trust.
Right. People invest in ideas as much as they invest in, like, lines of code.
Absolutely. If OFD can clearly communicate their vision and back it up with results, then, yeah, I think the story could very well become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's like this crazy intersection of human behavior and cutting-edge tech.
Totally. We're seeing that more and more these days.
Yeah, and in OFD's case, the story's still being written.
Right. We're all just along for the ride at this point.
So for our listeners out there who are just as intrigued by this as we are, dive into the research we've got linked in the show notes. Explore the OFD protocol for yourselves.
Definitely check it out.
And see what you think. This could be the next big thing.
It could.
Or it could be another cautionary tale.
That's right.
Either way, it's going to be interesting to watch.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the world of DeFi so captivating.
You never know what's going to happen next.
Right. It keeps you on your toes.
Always. All right, that's it for this deep dive into the Oracle Free Dollar Protocol.
Fascinating stuff.
Catch you next time.